Hey guys, welcome to another Inside the Tank Live. And in fact, we're likely looking at the last one for the season because it looks like the season finale for season 6 just aired. So, right? I'm sure you're sad. Anyway, all right, so we're talking about tonight, Shark Tank Season 6, Episode 30. We're going to blow through this thing. Definitely interesting show today. I mean, lots of money was spent and tossed around. Crazy ideas. Many different entrepreneurs going out there. I mean, we're talking a reinvention of the wheel, and we've got of course, he went and put a cat in a cup. Nothing like a cute cat. We got a crazy new mode of transportation, which is a great lesson in sales, so hopefully you were watching for that. And then something that I'm sure none of us have played, but seems to be an investable idea. So we really had lots of success today. It's like they saved a successful show for last or something. So let's kind of just dive right in and talk about how you can understand how you can get your own deals funded and make things happen.
Yeah, let me fix your microphone real quick.
What?
Sorry, it's getting scratchy.
It's all good. No
Yep.
problem.
Go.
That was Jacob. My mic is fixed. So, Shark Wheel. Interesting name. I say $100,000 for a 5% stake. In this particular company is what they asked for. So just so that everyone remembers, I want to make sure everyone remembers how to do the numbers, because that was definitely something I thought was interesting when I was like $100,000 for how much? So all you got to do is take the 100,000, divide that by what the percentage they're willing to give. So now you see they're asking for somebody to pay $2 million for this particular product. Now in this case, it's the wheel, so I guess the marketplace could easily handle that as a valuation. So they've got a better wheel, reinvented the wheel, more grip, lasts longer, smoother, all of those great things. But I think one of the interesting things that was brought up at the beginning by Mr. Wonderful, and of course, is what problem are you solving? Understand that one of the things that your company must do, and you must know how to communicate, isn't, hey, this is great, let me show you why. It's, here's the problem and how we solve it. Those are two completely different things. Now, in this particular case, they happen to have some decent sales in a very short period of time. They definitely have some decent margin. If they're buying, if it costs them $12 to make it, $69 retail, that can't be half bad. I found it interesting. I'm like, how did they raise that $603,000 at a $10 million valuation? And just why not go back to those guys for more money? That's definitely one of the things that I was thinking. But not only that, if they raised 603 at 10 million, they came in the tank asking for only 2. So I'm like, well, you just, diminish the people who gave you the 603, but clearly they're okay with that. But now we're getting ahead of ourselves into some of the other questions that I would have been asking, right? So here we've got, they ended up with a number of different offers in this particular case. Nick, Mr. GoPro, 100,000 for 15%. Damon, 100 for 20. Lori, none. Mark, none. Kevin, something unique, right? 100 for a 10% royalty. When he said that, I almost choked. Until they get 5 times their money back, and 2.5% equity. And interestingly enough, as things continued to go, Damon later decided that he was going to go out, and as you guys saw, just like I saw, Kevin ended up getting Nick to come in with him, and then Mark as well, and it ended up a 3 Sharks deal, 225 for 10% with 7.5% equity. I thought that was a pretty interesting way to get to where they wanted to be. I still don't understand why they were okay with a 10% royalty, but again, if you're making it at 12 and you got 669 at your retail, then there's clearly room there. 5 times their money. Do you realize what just happened there? They're going to make a minimum of 5 times their money. Who knows in what time frame? But it's 500% minimum plus whatever that 2.5% per person is going to be.
Well, actually,
worth at the end of the day.
Well, actually, it went down in one and up in the other. Obviously, the equity went up, but the amount of the payment went down because they only had to pay $500,000 and they took $225 out. So it's really.
But they're still going to get 5. Each individual person is still going to. They're only going to put a third in, and they're going to get that multiple out. They're going to divide that 500 three ways.
Yeah, but it's not on 100,000. It's on 225,000. So they're getting 2.5 or 2.75 more back versus 5x back on the 10% royalty, but they're getting more equity.
I hear what you're saying.
So-
I hear what you're saying. Either way it goes, it's not a bad deal. At the end of the day, here's my point. My point is that there are many different ways to structure a deal. One of the few royalty deals we actually get to see happen, and it did, and it was 10%, which I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. In my head, that just was like, there's no way. I know when he said it, I was like, there's no way that's happening. But when he got Nick on board, and I'm like, uh-oh, it might happen. And then when Cuban came on board, I'm like, you know what? It's a done deal. There's no way they're not saying yes to that, because I would have said yes to that, especially if I've got that much room inside the deal. Understand, if you've got the room inside the deal, you got the cash flow, and you can support it, knock yourself out, especially since it goes away. What would I have offered? I personally, I'm one of these growth kind of guys where I like to go for the upswing. So I would have wanted definitely more equity. I mean, I don't necessarily want the royalty. Let me stay on long term. That's kind of my thing. So, you know, a 10% kind of 10%, 15% kind of thing. I don't know if I would have been able to get that in this particular case, considering. So a royalty deal does kind of make sense, even though I personally don't like them. Unless I'm the one receiving the royalty, then it's a whole different story. You know, if I'm the one paying it, that's a whole nother, you know, it is what it is. Would I have taken the offer? Yeah, I would have taken the offer there. I would have made a counter offer I would have tried for a lower royalty. I would have asked. I would have at least put it out there so that I could say, well, at least I know. That's definitely one of the things I would have done differently. These two guys seemed to be a perfect balance. You've heard me talk about on previous episodes how you needed someone who was like the nerd and smart and understood the tech, so to speak, and then someone else who could actually speak the numbers. It seemed as though they were a very perfect balance in that regard, because I don't know about you, I've never stayed up nights and thought about, hey, let me reinvent the wheel. But in this particular case, he did, so that's awesome. Good on you. I'm not that kind of guy. That's why I just do real estate, because it makes sense to me. That's the easy way to go. What questions would I have asked? I was back to like I was talking about earlier, the $10 million valuation was previously there. I would have wanted to know a lot more about that and how those guys are suddenly going to feel. I mean, you came in offering $2 million, and now this is weird to me. But hey, if they're okay with it, I guess I'm okay with it. I just want to know what that relationship is like, for sure, before I take that risk. Can't really say that they answered questions poorly, but one of the things they did not do well enough. Yeah, they did come in prepared. One of the most prepared pitches I think we have ever seen in terms of not only what we've done, but where we want to go. They were really hyper prepared on that, and you guys saw it between the displays and the sales, and they had the demonstrations and the model, and they had all that down. However, they didn't disclose in some senses. The 603 put a negative. They just didn't lead with that, nor did they make it clear what the potential was for things like other lines of business. Yes, you have a stroller that's kind of there. That's great. Yes, you have, what was the wagon with the kids in it? Because when he said, the funny thing is I was pretty much ignoring the whole thing until that wagon came out, and he said rolling it over sand. Having small kids and going to the beach here, when you've got, oh my God, you want to talk about an exercise in frustration and pain, is that wagon and the beach is like, oh God, no. Anything but the wagon or the stroller, it's just like, ah. So he had my attention once he got there. You know, when he got that far, I was like, maybe this could be useful. So, and that optical illusion when the wheel was rolling, that was like, how do we address that so that it doesn't make me want to throw up or puke when I'm looking at this device come at me in some way, shape, or form? But clearly they got a deal, so, you know, hey, what do I know? That's awesome. Good job. They're going to go create, was that David and Zach, if I'm not mistaken? They're going to go create some more jobs and get some more things done. So that's great. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so now we're going to talk about cats. Gato Cafe. Or if you let Lori say it, it's the Ghetto Cafe. I don't know if you guys caught that, but it was definitely funny when she said it. It's clearly Cat Cafe. I like my coffee, but I'm allergic to cats, so the two of these things for me don't really go together. However, I was pretty much watching this one going, wow, is she for real? Until Damon opens his mouth saying, you don't understand, they're in Japan, they got these here. I'm like, there are literally cafes with cats and people are paying money to go hang out with cats and coffee. Okay, no problem. Cats and coffee it is, what do I know? I don't have to like it. I just need to know that there's a customer for it, and there's clearly a customer for it. Cats and coffee. Who knew? Who knew? Now, clearly has a mission as well. That's one of the cool things about your business. They can totally have a mission on top of just out there earning money. You can do well, do good at the same time. She clearly came to the table with that. However, she got absolutely no offers for one major reason. No POC. You've heard me say this a number of times because it was clear. They're like, yeah, we hear that it works over here. We hear that it works over there. But do you know how to do it? Where's the proof that you know how to do it? And more importantly, if you've never done it, wouldn't it just be easier for us to go out there? If we're going to experiment, we might as well experiment and have more control. You heard that a number of times, either from Nick and or Damon, who were the two that were like kind of in, but like, hey, bring us a little bit more coffee and cats and experience, I guess, in this particular case, and they might have been able to do it. All right, let's go over to the chat room real fast and see who's there. So Josh, seems like a sanitation issue. Ooh, Josh. Yeah, it seems like because, all right, so one of the things my wife and I, we love to do on the weekends, and we'll probably end up doing it again this weekend, is we like to go to open houses. That's just like that's like fun for us, right? Go figure. Real estate people who like to go to open houses. Here's a tip. If you have an open house and you have a cat, do your best to clean up that cat smell before you hold the house open. Because there was one this past weekend, and I was just like, that house is not going to sell anytime soon. And my wife was like, why? I'm like, how did you not smell the cat? I don't know how many cats they had, but the cat. And that's what I kept thinking about too, Josh, is like, hold on, cats and coffee. That litter box, I mean, how many cats are we there was nothing that goes together with that concept that makes me go, yeah, that makes sense. And it's going to be a long-term pleasant environment, especially from a smell standpoint. I'm like, how does that work? I don't know. Not my deal. I'm not mixing cats and coffee.
Yeah, I mean, how do you keep the cats in the
cat area?
In the cafe?
How do you work?
How do you keep people from not taking the cats? How do you keep people? I mean, I guess they're giving them away, but if they're wildly like roaming around,
I don't know.
I mean, how do you get people to pay money to come into this? Like,
that's what I was like. You gonna pay me just to hang out with cats?
Nothing about that made sense. And the only thing that I saw was that one guy, Nick, seemed like he was interested until
sure.
until Damon said, "Well, why couldn't I just do it myself for $150K?" And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, huh?" And totally like. He was like,
yeah.
He realized that he wasn't interested enough to do it himself.
No.
So why would he invest with this opportunity now?
There was no reason. There was no reason. There's no proof. There's no help me. I don't see the economic model is what we're missing. POC is completely out the window. The other thing to understand, she probably could have got a deal had she brought a business person with her. It's one thing to have the idea, be the visionary. Awesome. Rah, rah, great. But if you've got a business person who can explain the economic model behind something, again, that's what I'm talking about. Economic models, sales, you got to be able to tell us how on earth are you going to make money, which is one of the direct questions that she was asked.
Well, so. if a business person looked at it before she went to Shark Tank, they probably would have told her that to just not
stop.
Go and get something down a little bit more than I got a piece of paper with a name, a ghetto fabulous name, and a Ghetto Fabulous logo and a very simple concept.
Oh, Jacob, you're funny.
That's not patentable or
It's all good.
it makes no sense.
Hey, here's what I know. Let's assume that audience size was 7 million people. Let's just assume 7 million. She just got to be in front of 7 million people. She's going to get a few phone calls. And she'll probably figure out a way to actually have her cat cafe.
Well, I doubt she has a website. I couldn't find her website.
But I didn't say she won't need a lot of help.
And so if you couldn't find a website, how are you going to find her?
Well,
good luck.
you could get in contact with the people. In fact, that's one of the things I've been thinking about doing for the podcast is contacting some of the people who have gotten deals and getting them as podcast interviews, because I think that would be cool for everybody to see as well. But and we've done that before with Billy Blanks Jr. I don't know if you've participated in the podcast at all. Go over to cashflowdiarypodcast.com. Look up Billy Blanks. You can hear him and his wife Sharon talk about their experience on Shark Tank as well. Anyway, so this is going to be really easy. What would I have offered? Nothing. Would I have taken any offer? If she had gotten an offer, she sure should have taken it. Would I have made a counter offer? Not in her case, because she's got no leverage, nothing really going on. How would I have done it differently? Again, you've heard me say this before. I say it again. You need that business person who knows how to explain this thing or possibly stop you from doing something silly. You know how they say friends don't let friends do these types of things? So friends shouldn't let friends go on Shark Tank with cat cafes. What questions would I have asked? I don't know that I was interested enough to ask any questions outside of how do you make money, and then after that I'm done.
I would have been like, Mark, yeah, I am out.
Yeah,
thanks for the name,
Oh,
Ghetto
God.
Cafe. I'll remember that one. I'm
God,
out.
that was
Thank
pretty
you.
bad. What questions were answered poorly? Yes. So that's all I got to say on that. And we're going to move on. Suede Motorsports, a new take on the modes of transportation here. New modes of transportation here. So that's definitely, I think that's interesting. At the end of the day, is a new way to get around. I don't know when you saw it. When I saw it, I'm thinking Segway. That type of thing. He was asking $300,000 for a 10% stake, so that's a $3 million ask. Hold on, what was the cat lady asking, by the way? That's right, she was asking $500,000. I thought that was awesome. We have a question in the chat room. Let's see. It says, Jay, how could the cat cafe been proven out as a proof of concept without initial seed capital? Yeah, she needed to take the risk. That's the problem. Okay, the problem is, she needed proof of concept, and she needed money for proof of concept. When you need money for proof of concept, that's not the time to go to the Shark Tank. That's when you need to be getting friends and family hanging around to get them to scrape, retirement plans together and putting that out there, so that you can at least launch one, a test.
Well, if you're going, I've seen a couple that have gotten proof of concepts like prototypes in there, but they're
not retail.
They're patentable ideas. Not I have an idea to have cats and coffee. There's nothing patentable about that whatsoever. Anyone on the planet could have that idea and do that.
God, I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I just would have never come up with that combination. I don't know what else to say. Okay, I don't know. Let me see what it says. Would a business partner been able to help her get past that? Yeah, a business partner would have at least been able to help her get to the point to where she has capital. At least that seed capital before she got that far. She would have been able to get more things in place so that she would be able, because when she was talking, the first thing I said is, does she have sales? That's the only thing I want to know. I get the crazy. I don't have to believe in the crazy. Just tell me that there are enough people out there who believe in the crazy with you, believe in your idea, believe in your widget, that they'll give you money. And if there are, then great. But clearly Anyway, she was asking $500,000 for that. Anyway, back to Sway Motorsports, $3 million ask, all electric, perfect urban commuter. new form of golf cart. That could be kind of fun. Can ride on snow and ice, and they wanted some lots of manufacturing help and distribution, etc. Currently selling for about $8,000, 60 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour top speed, 40 mile an hour range. Well, I don't know about you guys. One of the things I was thinking, I was like, I wonder if Elon Musk was watching this episode. That was actually one of the thoughts that went through my head. This is his super, super low discount version of anything he's ever made. But that was definitely something I was thinking. Could be the market. He's invested a few $100,000 of his own. He's got some patents. That's great. Mostly no offers, except you guys, I hope you were watching and saw this. He was perfect. He was the perfect, what I call pig, in a sense. He was asking questions, listening, responding when he needed to. It was a perfect case study. When they said he was all out, in fact, they had to tell him, look, everybody's out. He was still going. He's like, here, I believe. His belief, when you talk about the 4 core beliefs, they were through the roof. You couldn't really tell him no. No was really not that much of an option. It was, I am here to get a deal, and one of you is giving it to me. More importantly than that, when the time came, he was listening for what we could literally call that really why moment. I've said it many, many times. Those 2 words very powerfully, when used together, make perfect sense, and he asked it because he was listening. He was listening and was able to respond because he kept his emotions in check, even though he was being literally denied. He got 5 no's, and then maybe even 6 or 7. And then when the moment struck, he just made it very common sense argument. Very common sense argument. If you think this so great, why not invest? Done. And then Mark steps up. Well, make me an offer. And he makes an offer. And he gets a deal. It was perfect. Now, later, as you see him walking out, he's like, dang it, I should have said 15, but that's okay. You got the deal, dude. Most people don't stick around that long. And that was a great example of what it is going to take for your idea. I don't care what your idea is. You're going to hear no. You might hear no many times. You might hear no from the same people who eventually say yes later. It doesn't matter. All I'm saying is he was in the right frame of mind. He knew when to ask that really why question that was able to elicit the proper response. It doesn't make sense. If you believe this is so great, why not invest? I'm not asking you for your expertise. I'm not asking you to lift a finger. I'm not asking for a phone call. Can you stroke a check? If you can stroke a check, I will take care of the rest, is what this guy literally came to the table with. Now, had Robert Herjavec been there today, there might have been some more to talk about for him and that particular sense. But Robert wasn't there today, and I bet you Robert's kicking himself like, dang it, why was I too busy dancing? You know? And so, especially on that one, because we've seen Robert the past couple of weeks. What was that car thing? The smaller car, the air car, that's right. So he's been doing some of the car plays and motors, and this would have been the perfect thing for him. And if Cuban, I wouldn't be surprised if Cuban doesn't call him and say, hey, here's what went down, and I'd, like you to look at it or something. But at the end of the day, the point is he was very clear. He being, it was Joe, if I'm not mistaken, Joe Wilcox. He was very clear on what he needed. Clarity leads to 2 things, as I've said before. It leads to the power to decide and act. And if you don't have clarity, you have no power. Power to decide and act. And he was clear on what he wanted. Mark was clear on what he could provide and couldn't provide. All of them made the assumption that he wanted something other than their check. And he didn't. So when the moment struck, he got the deal, and he got exactly what he wanted. I mean, there was nothing, that was like total touchdown goalpost moment. Like, yeah, that's my guy, that's my guy, period, at the end of the day. It was awesome. So what would I have offered? Sure, give him, I'll give him the same check, Mark gave him, because I know even less about this particular, actually, I wouldn't have offered anything because I don't want to produce and manufacture anything that's got to get delivered. It just, no. but that's not me. Would I have taken the offer? Absolutely. Counter offer. He did that. He did all those things. Probably, yeah, 15%. I can see where he's coming from there. We always have that nagging feeling after they say yes. What would I have done it differently? I don't know that I would have done much differently in his particular case, because he had everything perfect. He was able to demonstrate the product, able to explain the product, show his protection and patents, proved his history, his technical competency, all of those things. And honestly, to get that far on quote unquote only 200 grand in my world means he's really good at a lot of things to be able to get that far to produce that thing from an idea to 200 grand. So I can't say that he answered anything poorly. But I would have wanted to know one additional question. After my 300's gone, what do we do next? Because I don't see 300 lasting that long. How do we make sure that we don't have to stroke yet another check? And I would have wanted to know what that looked like. But outside of that, Joe, great stuff. Great stuff. So good job. Maybe we'll see that next to a Segway store sometime soon. And we'll be going on a tour, a Sway Motor Segway tour around Long Beach Pier or something. It'll be awesome. Then the next one is a total dark horse, out of the box category. I don't even know how this happens. This reminded me, I don't know if you guys saw one of the previous episodes where they were talking about the gloves. And they called it gloving with the colored lights, if you remember that at all. This reminded me a lot of that in this particular case. So we've got Spikeball. I'm like, yeah, never played it. Now I'm sitting next to my wife here. We're talking Hall of Fame for volleyball, because they're describing this as volleyball and foursquare. And I'm like, honey, so is this a good deal or what? She just kind of goes, huh. It's like, I have no idea. It was pretty funny. He calls it the next great American sport, ultra portable, interesting, invented around 1989. Now, here's something that I just thought of that might be how some of us could get in the game. You say, like I say, I don't sit around thinking I haven't been yet the inventor type. I don't even know. I'm sure there's a process to the way that those people think that I have not yet learned. However, maybe I can go find something that used to be around. Where's that list of all of these ideas that didn't get marketed well, that could probably be repackaged, whose rights have expired, who I can go chase down and find the ones that have legs. And now that we've got things like Google and Yahoo and Bing and search and all this other stuff, especially with Facebook targeting, maybe now I can get it in front of the right person, because I don't need the support of a major network to necessarily get my product out there. I only need my core 10,000 customers, right? And maybe just-in-time production with just-in-time manufacturing and delivery and all of these other things that we can now do allow for some of these. It doesn't need support of 2 million people in order for us to actually go out there and make some money. We just need a small little niche group. I don't know if that idea came to you, but it definitely came to me when I was listening to them talk. So I love it. But hey, guess what? Spikeball has 100 tournaments a year. Did you know that? Me neither. Membership, right? The $14 cost, $59 retail. That seemed to be a very popular way of doing things on this particular show. Sold a ton of units, selling more. The problem is they can't make them fast enough. They can't make enough to fulfill orders. Totally makes sense. And now they have the need for capital too, so that they can keep things going. When you're looking at it, you've got 3 no offers and people and 2 people there kind of going, yeah, maybe. Damon looking at 525. He wants to bring licensing and manufacturing to the table, which my ears perk up. You mean I don't have to worry about that? Great. Kevin, again, we've got another interesting structure. I love Kevin, but we've got 10% equity. He wants a loan, I think it was a warrant at that point, which is fine. The 9% interest rate on the $500,000. Obviously, he's going to make that money back, and he wants to go along for the ride for fun, which is cool. So What ends up happening? This is one of those cases where you get to see things from a completely different perspective. Sometimes it's not what you offer. It's not even your deal. It's you. They don't want to do business with you. I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but eventually the offer that got accepted was at the exact same valuation that Kevin originally said. And I thought it was hilarious. And Kevin, I think the words were, "You got to be kidding me." It's exactly what he said. He's like, seriously? It only came down to one thing. He was fine giving the valuation. He just didn't want to do business with Kevin. That's messed up. Although sometimes that happens when you're out there in the marketplace. Your deal's fine, everything is great. They just don't want to do business with you. You are the weakest link. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, think about the 5 sharks there. Who is the least on your list? I mean, it's either Lori or Kevin.
I wouldn't mind. Kevin has a specific purpose for a specific type of company, like the first deal. The problem is most of the companies that come into the tank aren't in a cash position to where they can support the thing Kevin likes to do, which is not work, quote unquote, on a day-to-day operational basis, but be able to take what's already there and amplify it. That's all Kevin really wants to do. He doesn't want value in the sense of taking it and growing it into something. He doesn't put a whole lot. He's like, I'm done with the sweat equity thing. I just want streams of cash. I get that. But most of the things in the tank can't support it, and this one could have, but they didn't. He wasn't going for that, and he just didn't want to do business with Kevin. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes they just don't want to do business with you, and everybody reserves the right to do that.
It's a not me, it's you kind of thing going on here.
Yes, it's not me, it's you. So what would I have offered? Clearly $2.5 million. What was that? Did you say that was 7 times free cash? That's an interesting multiple. All right, great. Sounds good. In fact, that's where I like to sell my buildings at. If I can sell my buildings at 7 and 8 cap, or 7 and 8, my NOI, that sounds like a good number, depending on the building, etc. Would I take any offer? Clearly, I actually didn't think the offer Kevin made was that bad, to be honest, in this particular case. So, plus it's a loan, and all right, cool. It wasn't was it 5x money type of sale. So I'm like, that wasn't bad, but the idea of being in business, with Damon, definitely more attractive to me too. So would I've made a counter offer? I would have done exactly what he did. I would have gotten to 20 faster, because that's what I in my head I was saying 20, 20, 20, but he went to 22 first, and I'm like, okay, but that's okay. Would I have done it different? No. He did, again, another great example of giving the vision, understanding all the pieces that needed to be there in order to make it work. He had the proper amount of demonstration and sales and explaining the market size, etc., being able to get it down. I would say one thing. If I was going to ask one additional question, I would have, maybe tried to angle for some sort of a deal with somebody that owns an NBA team who might want to put their logo on something. Just saying, since he's in the room. And what questions would I have asked? I would have wanted to understand more about the future and how we were going to get there. How do we grow it? I get the whole viral thing. That's great, but I don't have control over that. And what questions were answered poorly? Can't say that he did quite a fine job in that particular case, Chris. Good stuff. Way to go. Way to go out there to dig up great ideas. Who knows how many ideas are out there, guys? Just think about it. If you just go trolling, you might find some great ideas that have died that you too could resurrect and end up creating some jobs and doing some great things for people.
Yeah, we're going to do the lawn darts and pet rock. Those are the two.
I wonder, does somebody have petrock.com? I mean, you got to wonder.
I am sure that someone does.
If not, they do now. But it's just, I'm just saying, petrock.com, that'll probably work it out. Anyway, best offer of the night. Best offer of the night. I'm going to give it to Sway because I appreciate his tenacity. I appreciate the way that he approached. I appreciate his pitch. I appreciate his I'm not giving up and I'm leaving here with a deal, and his no nonsense, straight between the eyes. Well, why not invest? Boom. Yeah, like, it was awesome. It was awesome. Worst name for a product. Sorry.
Ghetto Cafe. I can say that right now. It's the Ghetto Cafe. It's got to be the worst one.
Okay. Sorry, I just couldn't even say
it. Might have been the worst one of the season.
Oh, God. Definitely earns a badge of some kind. Woo! Worst deal of the night. That's interesting. Worst deal of the night. Oh, that's going to
go the same one. I think it goes to the Ghetto Cafe. I don't think she didn't get a deal. And it would have been the worst one that I would have.
God.
Last one I would have invested in by far.
Oh, God. Okay. Wow. Well, you heard Jacob. I'm not going to dispute. I'm just going to say, think of it this way. If a cat cafe can get on Shark Tank, so can your idea. That means you and I, we have a shot at creating jobs. I don't know if you paid attention to that excerpt or that spot where they were just showcasing in the update section all of the lives that have changed. And I hope that by watching the show, you get inspired to go out there and create some jobs, because that's one of the most important things. That's one of the most important things that we get to do as entrepreneurs. Is we literally shape the world in various different ways. You matter. You want to matter, go create some jobs and figure out how to make payroll all the time, and figure out what it takes to create a profit and get sales and provide something of value that people want when they need it to the person who's looking for it. Those are all skill sets we all need more of, and I hope you go out there and do that. And if at Cashflow Diary we can help you to do more of that, especially in the real estate space, we're here. That's exactly what we want to do. Want to help you understand the thought, the mindset behind it, and then the executionable strategies to make that work. I see someone in the chat rooms talking about petrock.com has a rock for sale for $19.95. Go figure. That I wonder what the margin is on a rock.
99.9%.
Oh, God. That just goes to tell you, with the correct positioning and packaging, who knows? Who knows? But I seriously, I think I'm almost willing to bet somebody's going to call her, and there's going to be a cat cafe near you. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Oh, well, it's all good. Here's the thing to understand. Although the season of Shark Tank is over, that doesn't mean that you are done doing what you need to do. It's time to get up and get out there, take your idea, no longer let it sit on the shelf, make something of it. I don't care if they laugh at you because you want to have cats and coffee. Go and try. At least she's trying. So before you laugh too hard, just remember, she's doing something about it, okay? And the cool thing is, she's going to learn. She's going to get the help. She's going to become a better entrepreneur. And she's well on her way to providing more jobs than we might be otherwise. And that's cool. I think that's a cool thing. I have fun watching Shark Tank all the time. Hopefully you do too. It's time to go play Shark Tank, that's for sure. And do the real deal. That's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go help a whole bunch of our members make sure that they go out there, get their first apartment complexes, raise their capital for their businesses and deals. And if you want to join us, feel free to catch us on the Cashflow Diary podcast. You can go to cashflowdiary.com. And you can just join us again. Click around on the YouTube channel. You'll find a whole bunch more resources that'll give you the opportunity to go out there and get you started. It's been fun talking to you guys. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.